and welcome to the Batch Lady, where today I am going to show you how to make 10 fish meals in 1 hour. I promise you this one is really simple because you're using tons of the same ingredients, but you're going to end up making lots of different meals. So on the Batch Lady channel I show you how to make fast, simple homemade meals that you can make in advance, put in your freezer and use whenever you want, so that you just always have a meal to pull out and don't have to cook during the week. It's fantastic. So on today's program, we are making salmon and pesto parcels, fish fajitas, fish cakes, 2 fish pies and fish chowder, okay? So we're going to make 5 fish dishes and we're going to double them up. You won't also see the quantities all the time, but these recipes are all on my website, okay? You can just download them at www.thebatchlady.com. So we are doing our 5 dishes, which is going to end up doubling, so we're going to make 10, and we're starting off with fish chowder, okay? So we are starting off with our fish chowder, because the fish chowder is one that we want to cook, okay? So we tend to do the cooked dishes first, get them going, and while they're cooking, we move on to other things. So what you want to do is you want to get a small piece of just a little bit of vegetable oil and just enough to do an onion and get it going on the top of the stove, okay? Now I am doubling this recipe, so you'll see lots going in, but actually it's because I've doubled it. So I know that in this bag I've got 2 onions worth, okay? So 2 onions of my already diced frozen onions, okay? And I'm going to tap so that you can hear me above it, okay? Now what else goes in this recipe is we've got some stock. So fish stock, or if you can't find fish stock, you can use vegetable stock, okay? So you just make it up to the required amount, which is about 600 mils, but I'm doubling it, so I've made it slightly more. You're going to use some flour to thicken it. So flour, I would use 2 heaped tablespoonfuls. So just stir that around into your onions, so you're almost creating a sort of onion roux type thing, okay? Then you just want to take your stock and put it straight in the pot as well. So this is all going to be bubbling away as we're making other recipes. Okay? So while that is just going to bubble away at the back there, what we're going to do is we're going to take our potatoes. Now I just buy new potatoes for this recipe, okay? And I just have a little sort of, keep this for vegetables, and I just scrub them clean, but then I don't actually take the skins off. I'm quite happy with the skins. So what you want to do is chop your new potatoes into small sort of 1 centimetre sections, okay? You don't want massive chunks of potatoes. You want them all roughly the same, a little cube of 1 centimetre by 1 centimetre, and here's how you do it really fast. Okay guys, so we have our potatoes all made the same size, okay? Next you want to add in the small pieces of potatoes, and that's just sitting there sort of simmering away, okay? And we are going to leave that for about 10 minutes so that the potatoes actually just simmer away and cook, okay? Once they've cooked, we're going to add in, once we've given it about 10 minutes, we're going to add in the milk, some cream and the fish pie mix, okay? So this is what we're putting into the chowder. Exactly the same as we do with the fish pie. Fish pie mix is going in and we're going to season it, okay? So, but at the moment, because we're just leaving it for 10 minutes with the potatoes, I'm just going to move this stuff to the side and set up the next one, okay? So I'm just going to leave it on the counter but move it slightly to the side, and across here is all my recipes just waiting to go in order. So I'm just going to grab the next recipe, which is 2 fish pies, which literally I can make in 4 minutes, okay? So here's how I do it. Okay guys, so I have just moved my stuff over to the side and I have set up my next recipe that's just came from this counter. So the method of the Batch Lady is basically that you are organised with each recipe and you do it as you go along, okay? And so that you're just moving the next one over. So this has still got to go in this pot, but it's going to take 10 minutes, and in 10 minutes we can make 2 fish pies, can't we? Definitely. Okay, so I'm using these sort of Pyrex dishes with the lids on so that they can go straight in the freezer. And then straight in the oven. Just take the lid off and put it straight in. So these are great. I'm going to make 2 fish pies for about 4 to 6 people, because these are funny sort of sizes of dishes. I've got some fish pie mix here, so it's got my smoked fish, my salmon and my cod. And we've got our dill. So I've just got some fresh dill here, and all I'm going to do is take away any big stalks that are there and then just curl it around and really just give it a good old chop. So we're going to put half the dill in each one. We're going to get some salt and pepper, which is over here. Let me just quickly wipe my hands. Right, we're going to salt and pepper them. Again, up to you, depending if you've got kids, how much salt and pepper that you put on. And also there'll be some salt in the ready-made mash, so you don't actually need a massive amount in this. And fish, you want the flavour of the fish, I think. Okay, so we put our dill, our salt and pepper, and now we're going to make up our, we're going to use a bowl, and we're going to, you can, if you're being really quick, just pour double cream over it. If you're not worried about, you know, weight or anything like that, you can just put some double cream. That makes the sauce just perfectly. If you prefer not to use all double cream, you can use 300 ml of double cream, you can use some milk, and you can use some creme fraiche and mix it together. What you don't want to do is just use milk and creme fraiche unless you're eating it that day. If you're eating it that day, it works absolutely fine. But if you're freezing it, it doesn't work. It will separate, okay? So instead, I've just made a sauce there, mixing a bit of everything in. Now I'm going to put these in the freezer, so I've put more cream in them than I would if I was actually serving them normally. Then you're just going to take your ready-made mash that you can buy in the supermarket aisle, and you're just going to crumble your mash over the top of it. Okay guys, so I just finished off the second fish pie. Look at that, 2 fish pies. I've already labelled the top. So I'm just going to put the top of them on, and they are good to go in the freezer. 2 meals made while we're waiting on the potatoes, okay? So let's move them just to the side there, and we'll chat about what we're going to do next. So by now, these potatoes are looking like they're had about 10 minutes, they're looking pretty good. So we're going to add in the rest of the recipe for the fish chowder. So we've done the fish pie, that's forgotten about. Moved on to the fish chowder. And the rest of the recipe is 600 ml of milk. It's in the pan. I like to always add a splash of cream because it just thickens it up, but you don't have to, but we like it. And we're going to put our fish pie mix in now, okay? So in goes the fish pie mix. And we can put some herbs as well. And I'm just going to leave that for about another 15 minutes, and it's going to thicken up, and the fish is going to cook. Now, when that fish is finished cooking, we will then take it off and let it cool down before we put it in our magic bags that we've already labelled, because that's how organised we are. Look, fish chowder ×4, and actually I think this will make more than a double, so I've got an extra one as well ready to go, okay, just in case it makes a bit extra. So what I want to do now is we are going to make fish cakes, but not straight away. We're just going to put the fish in the oven to cook. You can make fish cakes with the raw fish or with cooked fish, it's entirely up to you. I prefer to do it with cooked fish because quite often these pie mixes come in big chunks, and rather than sit and cut it all down, I'll just cook it and then it just breaks apart, so it's a bit easier. So I put it on a foil tray, a lined tray, and I'm just going to lay it out. To stop it drying out, I'm just going to put another piece of foil on the top, and I'm just going to put it in the oven for about 10 minutes. It's not going to take long. So we'll get that once we're finished our next recipe, okay? So I'm going to give this a quick clean up, and we're going to do another recipe now, which is fish. Okay, so we're moving on to our fish fajitas. So again, I've just taken everything from the recipe counter and sat it here, and I've moved my fish fajita recipe up, okay? So I'm looking at the recipe and I've got all my ingredients here. We've already got both sets things cooking, so we can move on. So fish fajitas are really easy. You actually sometimes think, why do I bother freezing them? But actually they do help in terms of headspace when you come in and you know, actually I've got the fish already there, I've already got a seasoning mix, and I've put peppers in it, and you know that you've just taken it out the night before, and as long as you've got some wraps, I quite often use these little boat wraps, then it's a really easy meal to do. Also, this fish came from Tesco, and it said that it was skinned, and it wasn't, so I just had to give it a quick skin there. And it's the sort of thing you don't want to do when you're wearing work clothes and you've just come in the door. So really good to do it so that you can basically open this bag, tip it into a frying pan, fry it up and serve it. That's it. So all you want to do is get, so I only buy a small amount of cod, it's quite expensive, because if you think about it, so you're just going to chop this cod up, and I've got boneless, supposed to be skinless cod, and I'm just going to chop it up. I'm going to do double. So bear with, really quick, here we go, chopping. So all you want to do is divide the fish up into 2 bags. Now, like I said, it's not much fish, but you're serving it with lots of other stuff, okay? So divide your fish up. And you are going to just use a normal sort of fajita seasoning mix. Because it's fish, you don't need that much. So I'm going to pour about half into each bag. Now that doesn't look like a full meal, but remember, you are serving it with lots of other stuff. Just give it a mix around. Now, what I also do is we like to have peppers with it. Okay, so I just buy a bag of frozen peppers that are already chopped, and the great thing is they've got all those different colours already in them. And I just fill the other half of the bag with peppers. And basically, because they're so thin, these peppers, and I'm just going to, they're still frozen, and I'm putting them from frozen directly back into the freezer. So these aren't going to defrost, okay? They're just going to go back in like that. Okay, and I'm going to serve that with all the usual stuff that fajitas come with. And you have got 2 nights worth of fajitas. Okay, so we've already done 2 fish pies. We've done 2 fajitas. Our chowder is actually finished. So I can now just take that off of the heat, and we are just going to leave that to cool. I'm still waiting a bit on my fish because that actually took no time at all. So while we wait on the fish, let's go on and do salmon and asparagus parcels. Let me tidy up and here we go. Okay guys, so fish fajitas cleared away, bagged up, everything cleaned off, and the next recipe over. I just like to, every time if you're going to do this, you're doing multiple recipes, just wash your hands, wash everything down, put the next one out and you're good to go. And keeping that sense of rhythm of clearing up, so everything that I'm doing is going in the recycle or going in the dishwasher or going in hot soapy water. And each time I do that means when you finish, you've not got a whole heap of washing to do. So we are now moving on to our salmon and pesto parcels with asparagus and green beans. Now these are really easy to make up. You make them up raw and you put them straight in the oven, straight in the freezer. So I tend to do 2 pieces of asparagus at either side. And then the green beans. So this is frozen asparagus, still frozen. Okay, I'm not defrosting it because I'm going to put it straight back in the freezer. So as long as you work quickly, you can do this no problem. So I haven't had these sitting out on the counter. I've just had a note beside the recipe telling me, remember, and get them out of the freezer. Okay, so there's 2 done. So I've put my asparagus down the sides, my green beans in the middle, and I'm just going to take a piece of salmon, fill it, and lay it along the top. And I'm going to take another piece and lay it along here. And then we are going to add some pesto. Okay. Now I'm just putting the pesto as blobs on the top because I don't want to put my spoon back in the jar if I've touched any fish. So I'm just going to do that instead. Okay, so there's my pesto along the top, my salmon and asparagus. Now this bakes up beautifully. Defrost it, so put it in the freezer, and then when you're ready for it, defrost it, bring it out, throw it in a tray in the oven, still in its parcel. You won't even have to clean the tray. And make sure that you wrap it with the parcel bits going upwards, and all that. You're basically making a lovely steamy fish parcel. That served with just some new potatoes will be absolutely delicious. Good way to get kids to eat fish. Salmon's quite a likeable fish for kids, and people usually love pesto. So if you put pesto on top of salmon, it's a very good way. You can feel free to leave off the asparagus. So we're just going to make 2 more. Seal it up. And we have made another 2 meals. Let's get cooking. Right guys, we are on to our last recipe, which is fish cakes. So if you remember, we just put our fish in the oven, we took it out and we left it to cool, and we just gave it a little bash around. So that's the best way, that it chops so easily then with a wooden spoon and it sort of mushes up, okay? So we've got our fish. So our fish came from our fish pie mix, which just went in the oven, and then we've got our ready-made mash, which was exactly the same as how we made our fish pie. And I've got 3 packets of ready-made mash that I've just put in this bowl and given a little swidge around, okay? We've got some salt and pepper, some dill, I've got an egg wash here, and some panko breadcrumbs, okay? So you can use panko, which is a Japanese style, gives you a crispier sort of fish cake, or you can just use other normal breadcrumbs or homemade breadcrumbs, whatever you've got, okay? I'm back. Washed hands, ready to go. I've got my bags here that are already labelled and I've got some pieces of foil. Okay, now I want to put 4 large fish cakes in each piece. You can make smaller fish cakes, you can make them long, you can do whatever you want. Okay, all you want to do is grab a bit, paddy it down, and make them bigger. Pat them down a bit, into circles, or any shape you want. You could have square fish cakes. Right, into the egg wash, just each side, very gently. Lift up and put them in your breadcrumb mix. Give it a mix around. Now, there's 2 things that you can do. You can either fry this off now, like this, so it's golden brown on either side, and then put it in your freezer, or you can put it directly in your freezer like that just now, okay? If you put it in directly like that, you have to be very careful, or if you mush it, or it's going to fall apart. So you need to be really thinking about putting it on the very top of the freezer, on a tray perhaps, just until that's they've actually gone hard. And then, of course, you can put them anywhere in the freezer. So, but you have to be careful with them. So you can fry them off, but when I'm doing this many meals at once, I'm not going to. I would if I was doing it as a single meal, but I'm not going to. Right, so I'm going to keep making 8 of these. So there we go, look, amazing fish cake, homemade. They weigh quite a lot. I'm going to fold these up, wrap them up, get them ready to go, and get them in the freezer bags and do a quick clear up, ready to do my soup, exactly the same, then lay everything out and show you that I'm done. So far, I've been on 50 minutes. Woohoo! Our hour is up and we have made it. Now, if you do this, you may not be able to do it first time in an hour. This is a very easy one. This is like the mince one. The chicken one's a bit more complicated. Give it a go. Maybe only do 2 or 3 and see how you get on, and then just add another one in once you get used to it, and add another one in, and then you'll eventually be able to do it no problem. You save a lot of money because there's no waste. You're using all similar sort of things, and if you've got an extra bit of fish, you can add it to a fish pie, or there's no waste. It's brilliant. So we have made 10 meals in 1 hour. Now my chowder is very hot, so I don't really like to put them in the bags when they're this hot. So it's still mostly in the pot. I put it in just to show you like this. You want to wait till it's completely cool, okay? And then once it's cool, put it in the bags. And what I often do with fish is I'll then put it in the fridge and then transfer it to the freezer, just so that I know it's cooled down correctly. So we have made our fish pies, our taco and pepper bags. We've made our fish cakes, our fish chowder, and we've made our salmon and asparagus and pesto asparagus bags. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 meals. We always eat fish, usually on a Monday night. So this is 10 Monday nights already in the freezer for me for 1 hour of my time. I hope you've really enjoyed watching this. Please give it a go. Leave a comment. Let me know how you get on. Thanks.